If you're looking for the raw, hardcore truth about print on demand, then this video is dedicated to you. If there's one goal I set for myself and my channel, it's to be as real and as transparent as I possibly can be. My name is Meg Heckman, and I am actually a real-life print-on-demand seller that has been doing this for the last 4 years. I got started in 2020 with my first store, and it was an absolute complete failure. And in those 4 years, I have learned a ton about print-on-demand and also about business in general. So in fashion of keeping it real, I figured I'd jump on here and show you exactly what I've been putting into my current print-on-demand store so you can get a real idea for print-on-demand and determine if it's something that you want to get into as well. Now, the numbers that I show you, again, you have to keep in mind are after being in this field for 4 years. This is what I've done. This is my livelihood. This is how I make my money. In fact, I make money in print on demand. I don't make money on YouTube. Am I a YouTuber? Yes, I'm a YouTuber in the sense that I've been creating videos for a year, but this is not my livelihood. I am not trying to make millions of dollars by trying to sell people on how to make a quick buck. So just keep that in mind as we go through all the different financials and the analytics. And no, it is absolutely possible, but it has definitely taken time for me to get to where I am today. So let's dive into it and get into Shopify. As you can see, I, like in all my videos have said, I started this brand new store in July of 2023 with 0 sales. So July 1st, all the way up through January, we have done $731,387.17. And that has all been in revenue. If you know anything about business, revenue is basically just all the money coming in. This is not including any of the costs or any money really taken out. We will dive into that and I will show you exactly how much I have been making every single month from running this store. In the first month, we were able to actually do a pretty decent amount. We had a total sales of $31,211.46. Again, this is all the income. I've talked about it time and time again. There are so many costs that come with running a print-on-demand business that a lot of people don't talk about. You'll see, I made $100,000 print-on-demand, and they're talking about their revenue. They don't very rarely talk about the profit, the money that actually hits their bank account. They just care about really the big flashy number, and then that's kind of it. It's just like, yep, I made that, and they don't share anything else. A lot of costs come with running any business. Very little businesses have a huge profit margin, like maybe software. Software probably has like an 80% margin where you're not going to have as many costs because you're not buying goods. You're just keeping a software up and running. So there are a significant amount of costs that come with running a print-on-demand store. For us, our biggest costs are going to be our cost of goods. So the amount of money that we are giving to Printify for them to make, print, and ship our t-shirts or any kind of apparel, and our ad spend. Those are going to be the two largest areas that we're spending in. As I've talked about in other videos, our cost of goods, we like it to be anywhere between 40 to 50%. If you're somewhere in that range, I would say that's typical and normal, at least for print on demand. If you had your own inventory or you were printing your own shirts, then your margin is going to be a lot larger than my margin. And your cost of goods is going to be a lot lower than what mine is. So just keep that in mind. I would say you want to be somewhere in the ballpark of 40 to 50%. And then that's just like a good ballpark to be in. If you're above 50, that's pretty expensive. So anywhere between that 40 to 50%. Now in July, our cost of goods were extremely low. We were at 39.4%. So that was wonderful. We have our ad spend, which is going to be the money that we use for advertising on Facebook and Instagram. That's where we drive all of our traffic. I don't try to do anything fancy. I'm not on TikTok, trying to promote the brand. I'm not making content. This is the content that I'm making. I'm making long form videos. I'm not making anything on my brand. I just do Facebook and Instagram ads. So that ad spend is going to be the next largest chunk. Ad spend, I guess you probably are around 25%, I would say, for the most part. We do a little bit of Google ad spend, but it's not significant compared to our Facebook and Instagram ad spend. And I would definitely start off with the Facebook and Instagram. You don't need to get into Google right off the bat. I would just pretty much do my primary testing within Facebook and Instagram to see if everything is going to continue to work as well as it seems to be. We have our fees, so PayPal, Shopify fees. These are really important to keep an eye on and not a lot of people talk about. Shopify is going to take a chunk. If you use PayPal as a processor like we do, they're going to take a chunk. Everybody wants their fee. Everybody wants a little bite of the pie. That's because they're doing your processing. They have to get paid too. So they're going to take a fee out of it. And if you use Amazon, we were using Amazon as processing at one point, but we no longer use them, as you will see as we go through all of the different months that we've been running this store. And then the last big cost is then overhead. Your overhead expense are your subscriptions. That's where we put employees. Like we have a customer service agent who will answer customer service tickets for us. We have somebody who helps now with uploading designs onto the site. I used to do that and it just became really time consuming. So we hired that out because it's just more of a tedious task. Now you don't need to hire employees right off the bat. I would honestly say get into the store yourself, learn how to use Shopify, learn how to use Printify, learn the ins and outs of your business. And then it makes hiring for that position so much easier. And you are always then going to be pretty much the expert on your store and on your brand. But that's what these like overhead expenses are. So it's basically like your monthly expenses, things that don't change from day to day. Like you could have a really good month advertising wise and maybe spend closer to 20% than 25%. Like that changes. Your overhead expense for the month should really be the same because your subscriptions aren't changing unless you're adding and getting rid of stuff consistently. It shouldn't be anything too crazy. So after you take out all of those costs for July, after everything was brought in, we profited $6,415.93. And that is amazing right off the bat. If you are able to get those kinds of numbers completely right from the jump, then amazing. You are in the right niche, you're in the right place. You did great. I've had other stores where it's taken the first month, didn't make anything. I maybe lost a couple $100 or broke even or only made $500. It all depends on what's going on in the market. It depends on the niche. It depends on your ads, the time of year. A lot of things can factor into this. So I don't want to go and say like this is the exact first month that you're going to have. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort. That being said, you don't have to be putting in 80 hours a week on a store to have this kind of success. But it's going to take some trial and error and it's going to take some working at it to get it to where you want it to be. Just like anything in life. So the first month we profited $6,415.93. That was a 20% margin. It was amazing. Now in August, we've seen growth in revenue. So if you see growth in revenue, you should also usually see growth in profit, assuming that you haven't inflated things on your store. So increased your overhead by like a huge amount or spent even more on advertising, like if you were running maybe at like a lower ROAS than normal. But as your revenue increases, your profit should also increase. So our total income was $55,127.32. Our costs, we deducted all of them out, the same costs that we talked about before, and everything came out to a net profit of $7,239.62. So as you can see, this is a lower profit margin, but if you'll look here, our cost of goods took a pretty significant jump. And I know why that is. That's because we added inserts. So every time somebody purchases a shirt, they get a little insert about our brand, and we put our socials on there so they can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, those kinds of things, and just thanking them for their purchase. And then we also added like neck labels. So they print our logo as well as kind of like some little washing instructions on inside the t-shirt. And so that's a bump as well. So we're still between that 40 to 50%. So we're still in a good range, but I think that's why we went from a 20% margin in July down to a 13.5. Anything above 10, I would say is pretty significant for a profit margin. We like to be anywhere between 15 to 20%, but I mean, anything that's positive is good in my eyes. So August showed that. Now, September, again, we grew revenue-wise. So we did a total of $102,721.56 in total income. Again, deduct out all the costs of running a store, deduct out the overhead. And as you can see, our overhead has increased again month over month. But we did a net profit of $22,501.50. Cost of goods stayed the same, right around 44%. Our net margin was 22.5%. This is where we were kind of getting into our groove and things were really starting to work and pick up. This is also like starting to go into Q4. Q4, people get into like some crazy buying just because of the holidays. They get into a frenzy. They're in a buying mood. So your sales, you should naturally just see them grow because the mindset of the consumer has changed. Now in October, revenue grew again. So we did $144,829.40 in total income. Deduct out all of the costs for the month, and we were left with $24,775.57. Now this was a 17% profit margin, and as you can see, our cost of goods were increased. Now, sometimes you can't always understand why your cost of goods have increased or decreased. It's just something to keep an eye on. Closer to the holidays, Printify likes to add on little fees. You'll get emails about it. They'll be like, oh, well, you know, with the holiday rush and just everything in Q4, everyone's so busy that they tack on like a 75-cent fee. It's stupid, but that gets added to your bottom line and something that you have to factor in. So don't be surprised if your cost of goods in Q4 tends to go up a little bit, but right after the holidays, that fee should stop and come off and your cost of goods should go back down to where they were previously. So overall, October was a great month, $24,775.57. November is usually a really good month because again, you have Black Friday. Typically Black Friday, people are 100% buy-in. Even on a print-on-demand store, they're in the mood for some holiday shopping. November is usually a really good month. So again, we grew revenue-wise to $157,441.09 in total income. Deduct out again all those costs, the ad spend, the cost of goods, the fees that come along with it. Our overhead increased again, but we were able to take home $26,952.82. This was a 17.5% profit margin. Again, really great. Cost of goods were a little bit higher, 46.35%. Nothing too concerning, still in that 40 to 50%. I'm not panicking. Overall, November, great month. December was our highest month that we had revenue-wise. So our total income was $163,623.00. That was everything that we brought in that month. All of our costs were deducted out. Again, our largest was our cost of goods, 46.39%. We were able to take home $24,634.04 or a 15% profit margin. Overall, December was great. You'll notice usually right before the holiday, it's usually like the week before, I would say, Printify is going to say that they will ship. They will still continue to ship, but they will say that there is a holiday deadline. And this means this holiday deadline is basically, they want to make sure that they can get the order to the customer in time for the holiday. So they will say our deadline for guaranteed shipping in the United States is December 12th. So you need to let your customers know that if they order past December 12th, we cannot guarantee that that order will make it there before Christmas. There's a good chance it does, but they need to cover their butt and you need to cover your butt because you don't want somebody purchasing on December 23rd and then being mad that it didn't show up on Christmas Day. But you'll notice that like that week right before Christmas, your sales will take a drop, because people have already bought all their gifts for the holiday season. They're not in a buying mood anymore, and you'll just see it's like a lull. So as you can see, it's like boom, boom, boom. We are going. We're doing really, really well to sales just totally dip down. I mean, we were doing 1,000 days where the month before we did an $8,000 revenue day and we did $1,000 on Christmas Day. So you still do revenue. It's just, it significantly drops off. And that is completely normal because people are not in a shopping mood on Christmas Day. If anything, maybe after the fact, because they have some gift cards, they'll go to the mall, they'll do some shopping. Pretty much the end of December and starting into January, it's just slow getting started. So we completely scale the ads back because we don't want to be spending a ton on ads, because if people aren't clicking them, you're just wasting money. So we completely scale back the ads. And then in January, once all the holiday rush is done, we will slowly start to scale those ads back up. And I'll show you too, in January, it starts off really slow. Like it's, you're still doing these $1,000, $2,000 days. Slowly it just starts to grow again, and you're like, okay, like I'm kind of getting back into it. Now it's not 8K days, but we just slowly start to ramp up those ads to get them to where they were. So in January, we did $91,888.48 in total income. I'm not shocked that this is down. This is normal. I was not expecting to make $200,000 in revenue during the month of January. I feel like it's kind of just a repeat for the cycle. And now it's starting over month. We should see growth again up until mid-December. It'll drop off and it's like starting all over again. But after all the costs were deducted and taken out, we did $8,516.80 in pure profit with a net margin of 9.45%. Cost of goods stuck around 46%. It's a little higher, but honestly, nothing too crazy. Now, the nice part about January is typically it's the cheapest ad spend. A lot of the advertisers aren't pushing their ads as much as they were in December, because December is the holidays. You want to get those sales. Nike's really pushing their campaigns because Nike wants to sell a crap ton of shoes or a lot of jumpsuits. You're not competing with them anymore. Their budget is set up such a specific way that they hit it so hard in like Q3 and Q4 for the holiday season that like by the time January comes around, you're just not competing in that same ad space. So you'll see cheaper ads, but again, you just have to slowly scale back up and get to where you were or where you want to be. But yeah, this was the first 6 months of running this store. So luckily for us, we've been net positive month over month. Again, I've been doing this for 4 years. This is how I make my livelihood. So what I'm saying and what I'm teaching on YouTube is stuff that I actually do on my business. The links that are in my affiliate links are actually links that I use to run my business. They're not things that I'm just trying to make a quick buck off of. You absolutely can make it in print on demand. I don't think it's oversaturated. I don't think it's dying or fizzling out, but I do think you need to put in the work. You need to put in the time. I think just social media in general has made it seem like it's supposed to be instant success, and it's not always instant success. Like I said, my first store was a total flop. I think it did like $6,000 in revenue. I lost money on it. Like I didn't make money off of my first store. And that's because I didn't know the things that I know now. Like I know it's really important to research a niche and to do market research and look at other designs that are out there that are selling well. If they're selling well, then I should make a design similar to that. And that will probably sell well too. So it's just a learning process. But if you're interested in getting started in print on demand, please join my free Skool group. The link is in my description. It's absolutely free to join. Anybody is welcome to join, where we go step by step through how to start a print on demand store, how to do the Facebook ads, how to set up a Shopify store. We go through all of that, all while connecting you to other people who are in the exact same position that you're in. It's a great place to network, to get to know people, to brainstorm together. It's a really great community. I could not recommend it more. It's free and in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. It would mean the absolute world to me. And turn on notifications so when I make new videos, you get notified of them. Thanks, guys.